8 million dogs and cats enter U.S. shelters annually. Over 90% of them are healthy and adoptable, but almost 4 million of them will be sentenced to die. The Silicon Valley is not only home to 200,000 people, but hundreds and thousands of cats and dogs also live in the valley. Unfortunately, not all of these animals have found loving homes. The City of San Jose Animal Care Center opened its doors in 2004. This shelter is the largest animal shelter on the West Coast, taking in thousands of abandoned and abused animals each year. Julie St. Gregory is the current director.
This shelter takes in over 18,000 animals a year, and we usually get about an average of 350 adopted every month. Of that, about 350 are taken by rescues like Safe Haven, and then we have about, probably about 100 going home that are, reclaimed.
Many animals have had to endure horrible experiences before ending up in the shelter. Some have lost their way home. Some have been abandoned by their owners. Others have been cruelly neglected or abused.
The saddest things are when you've got an animal who's just been starved for no reason. I mean, they're a walking skeleton, and sometimes we can save them, oftentimes we cannot because their organs have already started to shut down, and there's just no excuse for that.
Healthy animals, or ones that can be returned to good health, are put up for adoption at the shelter. The San Jose Animal Care Center holds open adoption hours throughout the week. Unfortunately, thousands of animals who are not adopted from the shelters on time are scheduled to be euthanized. Shelter officials claim that not all animals can be saved because of behavioral problems, sickness, and overpopulation.
Well, we euthanize probably, I don't know what our euthanasia is anymore. I think it's about 3,000 to 4,000 a year.
Advocates of a no-kill policy seek to put an end to the unnecessary euthanization of shelter animals. Rescue organizations like Lucky Paws in San Jose make routine visits to kill shelters to try to save animals from death row. Finnegan is a terrier and mini dachshund who has had a very rough start to life. Finnegan was rescued from a shelter as a tiny puppy by Lucky Paws and cared for in foster home for months. In May 2011, Finnegan was dog-napped from an adoption fair at a local pet shop. He ended up several months later in a Silicon Valley animal shelter with a broken leg, a huge gash on his chest, and most of his hair missing. Finnegan has undergone surgery and is well on the road to recovery. However, Finnegan is still waiting for his forever home. At the Companion Animal Rescue Effort Adoption Center, also known as CARE in South San Jose, dogs with stories like Finnegan wait for their future families. Like Lucky Paws, CARE is another San Jose-based rescue organization that saves abandoned and abused animals. For the past 25 years, CARE volunteers have rescued and fostered dogs until they can be adopted. Rick Russo visited the CARE Adoption Center hoping to find a dog to bring home to be part of his family.
Our last dog was a rescued our shelter dog, and we just had such a great experience with her and just felt good. Saving her, and she was just a really good dog, and we just wanted to repeat the experience. She passed away recently.
Rick has decided to adopt a puppy named Xena. Although Xena is a perfectly healthy and happy puppy, the San Jose shelter decided that they were going to euthanize Xena and her siblings. The animal shelters are overwhelmed with the number of dogs coming in and sometimes euthanize puppies in an attempt to deal with the overcrowding. CARE volunteers decided to rescue the puppies from death.
They were just rescued from a shelter. They were scheduled to be euthanized on 10/19, and there was 8 pups, actually 8 pups and two pregnant dogs, 2 mothers that were saved all at the same time. So they've got a total of 25 pups with this litter, and then the new pups that were born just, I think, a week ago or so.
Nicole Bales is hoping to adopt a rescued terrier pup named Teddy, who was one of the unborn puppies saved by CARE. A few weeks ago, the San Jose Animal Shelter decided they were going to have to euthanize Teddy's mother, who was pregnant with Teddy and her siblings at the time.
There's so many homeless dogs out there, and I'd rather give a homeless dog, a home than going to the breeder and paying big bucks. And I'm absolutely against a pet store, the puppy mill dogs. That's just horrible. And so I think the best place to get a dog is at the private rescue groups or, the Pound, SPCA, and so on.
Dogs like Teddy and Xena have found a second chance at life, thanks to organizations like CARE. CARE has managed to rescue some dogs, but still they cannot save them all. Unfortunately, animals that are turned away from rescues often end up in kill shelters like the San Jose Animal Care Center that are forced to euthanize the animals. Shelter workers complain that they take unfair responsibility for the deaths. Rescue groups and shelters in San Jose often work in an uneasy alliance, alternately depending on each other and distrusting the other. Still, both sides are working within the best interest of the animals involved, and they can all agree on one thing: more people need to choose to adopt shelter animals. The problem is not overpopulation. An estimated 8 million animals are in shelters every year. 23 million people will bring a dog or cat into their home this year. There are more than enough homes for the 8 million animals in the shelters. But people have to choose to adopt from a shelter or rescue group first, instead of buying a pet from a breeder. All dogs and cats deserve a loving home. Unfortunately, millions of dogs and cats are still sitting on death row at the shelters. Adopting directly from the shelters literally means saving a life.